Blog Talk Radio.
Hi, and welcome to Conscious Talk Radio, and I'm your host, Linda Summers, and we've got an interesting show for you tonight. Our topic is experiences with parallel universes. And before we get started, I would just like to say that these are non-organized spiritual conversations. Don't be deceived by the mention of truth. These are practical conversations, and our guest is unidentified as he chooses to be. His beliefs and theories are all developed out of a non-cause and effect experiences. They are not a pure thought experiment. So with that, I'd like to welcome our guest to the show. Hello.
Hi, Linda. Thanks for having me again.
You're so welcome. Thank you for being here.
Yes. So, I'm thinking just, in the talk, wanted to share some of the experiences where, I experienced things that weren't really there and figured out later they weren't there. And that's kind of what I mean by parallel universes. But very interestingly enough, just as kind of an opening comment, and this is, minor in comparison to those, but very still yet hard to understand. There's a friend I haven't called in some time, and I was like, I should really be checking up on her. I'm being a little, irresponsible. So I went to call her and picked up her phone number, on my contacts. And when I called her, it was someone else, and I asked her, because I was like, this is the number I was calling. I was like, how long have you had this phone number? She goes, a long, long time. So I'm like, okay, well. Yeah, I'm like, okay, well, now I don't have any way to contact my friend. And, of course, I thought of the show right afterwards. I'm like, okay, well, that wasn't the way it was before. At least I don't think it was. So it's interesting how within vicinity that happened. And the thing I was going to tell you that was interesting, too, but I don't know that this is necessarily the same thing, but maybe it is. And something's making me kind of really think about this and just thinking about doing this talk, that maybe this is a lot to do with this kind of thing could explain a lot of experiences that I've experienced. So it makes me wonder, is there some tying feature that this links? So for instance, another thing that happened was, it's just a small thing, I told you I would tell you about it, like, I don't know, happened like 10 minutes ago or whenever you said, we were texting back and forth preparing for the show, just so people know. And I said, well, I hadn't heard my phone beep, expecting that you would say something. And so I pulled my phone out of my pocket, and as I pulled my phone out of my pocket and brought it up to my eyes, I'm sure everyone knows, everyone has cell phones or, smartphones, but, you have like, in your text area, you have like lit up numbers or whatever, like mine are red. It says, I've got a message, right?
Mm-hmm.
And when I pulled my phone out of my pocket, I just saw one of the reds just vanish, just, as I was bringing it up to my view. So I could see it through the corner of my eye to be vanishing. But then when I come up, and I was like, okay, what was that? And then I looked there, and there you were, as if I'd already read it, which I hadn't opened it yet. It wasn't on it. So I opened it up. And so it's just interesting. So what I want to do is not get too, I want to open this up to, love for people to call in and tell their own experiences. I think that would be really fun. But I wanted to...
Let me give the number out really quick before you even get started. For anybody who's got any questions and you're listening, please call 347-850-8423 with your questions and or comments or your own experiences. We definitely would love to have you call in.
You want to say that slow again for the dyslexics of us, which I am, of course, one of?
Yes. So for anybody out there that has a question or you have experienced anything of this nature or something similar or something that's different, or you just want to share something that's going on, you're not really quite sure what that is, please give us a call at 347-850-8423 with any questions or comments, or you just want to share. We'd love to hear about you because this is all very fascinating. I'm sure, there's a lot of people out there that have had experiences and they don't know what to do with this. And, so it would just be good. We can just have this conversation.
That would be fun. I would so much love that. Because, I was thinking, I always want to, I think one of the things that I, in preparation for the show is I always want to think, whether I be special or, I think there's always that desire to want to know what you're talking about, and I don't. I just have these experiences. I've had these experiences, and I try to wonder where they come from. I've done little things I've found practices to generate them. And, but, me as an individual, I'm only so good. Do you know what I mean? So, you always, I think there's that propensity, and I don't think, I'm any different than that. I want to be special, and I have some very special experiences, but I'm not sure that makes me myself special, and there's a lot of dichotomies there because, I've experienced extremely special things, but I don't know that it makes me special. It's this strange thing. But anyways, that's another topic, and I didn't even want to bring that up. But unless you have a comment on that before I move away from it.
I think that the whole thing is how if we define really how you think of special, it could be somebody else different as special, but take away the special and really look at it as you have abilities to be able to assist humanity in some way, and to look at it that way. And it doesn't mean, there's look at other people who have been able to assist. So I think if we take it from that perspective, then it doesn't put so much from your point of view of being special, but yet everybody has, I feel like, some special gift, whatever that is, whether they're a chef or dancer or singer or something. We all have this special thing that really makes us different from everybody else. And that maybe it is to, I think anything we're doing it's always in service to humanity. Whether you're a chef or dancer, trash person, doesn't matter. You're still assisting because you didn't have those people, it would make a difference.
Yeah, exactly. I think all of this stuff is just a relationship with each other, a relationship with everything, and it's a misunderstood relationship with matter. There's so much kind of static materiality, and if anyone's ever studied any electrochemistry or physics, once you really get into that, not just what you've studied in academics, and I am talking about academics. I don't want to give people the idea that you can just imagine things and not have to study and not have to work. That's not real. But these relationships and these things I'm experiencing, I think in the end they're not special. They're special because the concept is special in that perhaps we don't hear that much of them to this extent, so that they're special. But it doesn't necessarily make me special, which, and I guess that's one of the things I was saying. It was a good thing for me, Linda. I feel like I have a better, because of all people, of all the conversations I've had with you, how difficult that is for me. And I realized, that is probably the truth. They're just, there isn't anything special. And to get lost in that is also to get yourself divided from the experience. There's all these subtle barriers that you have to, become aware of. But
and I also think too that all the gurus or people that talk about this is that they say there's not anyone you want to look up to. There's not anyone that is above anyone else. We are all equally light and love. It's just that each one of us brings something different to the table, so to speak. You're just bringing something that's different, as well as I'm bringing something to difference, and, Jane is bringing something to difference, and whoever, you know what I mean? So I think if you look at it from that perspective, then it just takes the pressure or the specialness of what, is really kind of bothersome to you. But, you do have these interesting things, and this parallel universes, I don't know a lot about this, and I sent you that video, and I don't know how to pronounce his name. Ben,
which I won't try to butcher him. I won't say.
Yeah, I'm not even going to try and mention his name, but a young kid. Well, he's not a young kid.
Young kid.
Yeah.
And he's clearly in love with the subject and has a lot of passion towards it. He's speaking freely off the top of his mind. And some of the stuff I would, as I think you should do in every scenario, I don't think anybody should be a passive component of reality. Because if there's any one message I would have, it would be, let's have a world together. Let's have a world where we can sit down and welcome each other with such heart that we all enjoy what we're experiencing. And,
Right. So then right there, that to let go of what we think of that I'm special, that you know what I mean? Right there, if we are going to sit down, then we are sitting down as all equal. And that's really what you're saying.
Yeah.
So I would like to know.
Who wouldn't love that? Like
absolutely.
We were kids again, small children.
That's what we're all working towards, really.
For love to happen.
Mm-hmm. Well, I honestly feel that we are moving in that direction with these energies that are coming in with this tetrad moon and, all the stuff that's the hype all over, the internet, a lot of things that are scary and things like that, which it's not. It's a really great thing that's happening. So I think there's a lot of things that are moving us in that direction that are really, I don't want to say forcing us, but we will all come together as a community, as a unity, which is what we're supposed to be anyway. And really helping one another, connecting.
No one needs to be forced. No one needs to be forced. And either people are listening to this in interest, and then I think the comment is open yourself up to the possibilities. Open yourself up to listening and saying, if you're not sure if things like this are true, try to be a discerning body and see if what I'm saying is true, and then open yourself up to those possibilities. And pretty much I think the foundation of it is really just the inherent oneness of things and becoming in tune with that. And as long as we see separations through that, or we don't see the connections of that, or we misline what is going on, we can get overly perceptualized into our own kind of, belief structure that we are building up and supporting. The only way that you can truly support something is to offer the opposite, and then if it comes back to you, then you got something. And if it doesn't, then you want to be wise and you want to be saying, okay, well, it didn't come back to me, so let me try to find why. And that's the tricky part when you're doing something like this, because finding the why or finding the relationship is tricky, but you can never find it within yourself. It's always outside of yourself, but what's outside truly has relationships to what's inside. And that's what I'm saying is there's a rabbit hole there, but even that I'm spicing up. But anyways, should we get back into the topic
let's talk because you talked about two major examples of parallel universes and what it would have happened had you walked through that door. I think there was an offer or something. I'm not quite sure, but there was two experiences.
Well, one I did walk through the door. Walk through the door, and I think I did what it wanted to do, and the other one I didn't. And I wonder, and that's sort of the conversation piece, and people will understand what I'm saying about when I say this. But one of them.
Let's talk about both, because I think both are going to be really important, because when you say that you've walked through and the other one you haven't, people are not going to, they're not going to really grasp what you actually did. Because parallel universes, people know about parallel universes, which I don't have a lot of knowledge around that.
Well,
I'm very curious.
It goes, I have lots of little things like this, but there are two that are very intense. And one was, I've said them throughout the shows. I've said them both at least once. And I'm going to try to recap them quick and cover any details that you feel is necessary because you've heard them both. One was I was how old was I? I don't know. I was like 14 or something, and I used to hang around this. I'm going to talk real quick, so just if you think that people aren't going to follow me, please stop me, Mm-hmm. But I want to get through it. So I was about 14 years old. I grew up in this little suburban area of a major city, and I don't know, hour from it. And I used to hang out in our little square a lot. It would take me I think a half an hour to walk to. And we would, do all sorts of things there and blah, blah, blah. And I've talked about this before for the people that have heard this before or listened to the show before.
You mentioned this, yeah. About the coins, spending the coin stuff? Uh-huh.
Yeah, it was funny you said the coins. That was what I was about to say, and I just decided to skip over that. All it was is I walked by this place that I know I don't know that I knew it very well. All I did was I was walking by this certain store, and I noticed this Chinese bakery. And, and I was like, oh, I love food. And so I went in there, and there was, dust on the floor and big ovens and this Chinese lady. And I said, what's this? So, I'm like, she pointed out and talked about some of the food and came up to be a topic that the buns, there were pork buns, beef buns, this kind of bun, that kind of bun, was what I should try because I don't know any of this stuff. It all looks so exotic. I was very excited about it. And so she introduced me to pork buns. I bought, I don't know how many of these just utterly beautiful things. They were just so good. And I walked home, and then for the next, I don't know how many days I would go back and buy more. I would scrounge up money or pick the meters to get quarters out of the meters because people don't know how to turn the keys, to get their parking time, in parking lots. And I would buy them, and I just consistently did this for a long time. And then I don't know how much time went by between, the last time I went and the time that I'm about to explain. But I don't think it was probably more than 2 or 3 days. But even if it was a week, I probably made anywhere from 3 to 6 trips to this place. I knew exactly where it was. I used to hang out in this little square a lot. I knew it very well. Anyways, when I went there, it was no longer a bakery. It was a dry cleaning business. So basically what I'm saying is at worst, probably a week, but I don't think so. I think it was 2 or 3 days or the next day. And I loved this place. And it had changed from a bakery with heavy cooking machinery with dust on the floor and everything that you see in serious bakeries that cook things on shop. But it was a small place. It was compact. So there was a lot of stuff in it, And it changed to a dry cleaning business. And needless to say, just to end that up really quickly, that basically I spent the next probably 4 days, I think I went back every day and just searched the entire square because I was like, oh, I knew it was where I thought it was, but when I didn't find it and I found something else in its place, my natural reaction was to say, it must be somewhere else. Even though I knew it was where it was, you can't take a bakery with ovens and put it in a dry cleaning business with, those press machines or whatever the hell they are. So I continued to look all over. I couldn't find it. I went down 3 or 4 times, and I didn't find it, so I suppressed it. I told myself it never happened because it was traumatic. I was like, I couldn't take it. I didn't. What happened? Where was it? What's going on here? I remember where it was. It's not there. I've searched the entire square. I can't find it. And I'd had many things like this. I'd searched for other places and that didn't exist that I could talk about, but I'm not going to talk about those. Those are pretty trippy, though. Different traumas that happened to my brother. I apparently might have been there. I described it to my brother. He knows exactly where it is, but I can never find it, although I knew exactly where it was. It was very fucking strange. Anyways, that's a different one. So anyways, so just to kind of complete that story, I had suppressed it, and then when I was in my undergraduate degree, I had this sequence in around my 28th birthday, which is what's called Saturn return in astrology, when the sky lines up in the same configuration of the heavenly bodies in the same way that when you were born, so it's kind of like your second coming. And that day, for 14 days, I had a dream that came true every night. Literally, it was like a conversation that I had with someone or something very, very specific with lots of words in exact order and images and everything. It was very intense. And the first one I had, which was probably the most simplistic of all of them, I think, was just a floating pork bun in blackness. It was just this pork bun floating in blackness. And then the next day, I'm taken on a field trip to a Chinese bakery, and I'm like, oh my God, it's a pork bun. And I was like, and I was like, oh my God. And before that was happening, I was saying to the universe or God, hey, there's something strange about me. I can deal with it. And anyways, that all broke free. So happening a parallel universe, like in the guy that you're talking about, he's saying each moment is a parallel universe. You look at this frame, you look at this frame, you look at that frame. That's not the way I see it. To me, a parallel universe is something that isn't there, is a wormhole to another reconfiguration of the world around you. Because that's what I've experienced. I've been to places that don't exist. It wasn't, so he's talking about like moment to moment to moment. Each one is a new reality, is a new universe.
Yeah.
I use something else.
Yeah, and I think my understanding is more on the way of what you understand it as, of what very little that I know. It's like here you're in the third dimension, but you're at 1 foot in the third and 1 foot in the fifth.
Exactly.
So it's like that's how I understand it to be, but I don't know a lot about it. But that's my understanding. As far as the frame to frame, that was kind of confusing.
That's something different.
Yeah.
That's something different that he can't really say. Based on the way he's explaining it, he can't say it for sure. He just can't. Yeah. He'd have to be part of the immateriality to know it for sure, and he's not. He's himself. So, and doesn't mean that he doesn't have something. In my book, he's not being discerning enough, and he's taking something to a place that he doesn't know, which limits God's ability to talk to you. And once again, as you said in the beginning, when I say God's ability to talk to you, yes, actually I do mean God, but not really. I mean, I do. I actually do. But the reason I use the word God is because I think for myself, and I think for other people, we like to anthropomorphize things. So it's not so sexy, and I hate to use the word sexy, but I bet you it's a word you like. Actually, we all like to use that word, but it's probably more in your language than my language, but somehow it really works really well. It's not too sexy
God is sexy, but you guess you could.
What?
I don't know if I would say that. I don't know if I'd be saying God, saying the word God is sexy, but yeah, sexy would be in my vocabulary, but not in the alignment
exactly.
of Yeah.
Well, but at the same thing, how do we know not? Hard to know what is and what isn't.
True. I mean, that's true. I think it's all about perception and what's filtering through and what your experiences are. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and just to break from that for a second, okay, right? Sexy. There's so much disdain for what is sexual. What do all swear words have in common?
It all is not actually, I was going to say it's all in relationship to sex, but it's not.
Well, it's either sex or some sort of process of bodily habits, right? If you go through everything, it's either some sort of sex, or some sort of relationship having a bowel movement or something like that. To me, it signifies a certain amount of shame of our instinctual, sexual, and anyways, anyways, the whole thing is the universe is not that sexy, and I use the word sexy for a reason, because to me, the unified field theory in physics is a scientific physical search for God. And in my experiences, that's pretty much what I've been trying to do. I've been trying to find what things are, and at this point, I've had so many experiences of some patterned, non-random talking, screwing with my mind, all sorts of things that I can't just say it has no meaning. It feels like it's you, but I can't talk to it. I can't see it unless it chooses to show me something. So I don't know what it is, and like I said in the beginning, I don't have the slightest clue. All I know is the experiences I've had. They're just
then one would say, then not to interrupt you, but one would say if they're listening to this phone call, then is, do you feel that it's of the light or not of the light?
What do you mean of the light or not of the light?
Oh, meaning, do you feel it's talking to you for the good? Because I don't want to say, well, there's positive or bad or evil or, you know what I mean?
Okay,
good or evil.
To me, and once again, I don't know. I don't know. But to me, good and bad are as follows. Good is to be connected. Bad is to be focused on yourself to the point that you don't feel your connection. So if you dismiss your identity, love, light, truth, God will come at you because you're allowing it to, because you're taking out what is problem in the equation, which is your sense of what you need and what you want and how you're so great and, oh, aren't I special? You know, I could be some great spiritual thing. I'm so special. I'm so magnificent. I should shine with this sword on the mountaintop, and people should do what I say, or I'll kill them. You know what I mean? It's a quick change game. You know?
Yeah.
That's not the real thing. Truth and love is a connection. It's an appreciation. It's you and I and 10 other people sitting down cross-legged and going, okay, what do we all experience today? You know, you go through your stress, I go through my stress, and then someone goes,
I can barely hear you.
What?
Sorry, I can barely hear you. You sound like you're really far away.
Sorry, is that better now?
That's much better, yeah.
So what I was saying is truth is, to me, which is love and God and light and all that, is us sitting down and saying, you know, where we're coming from. Each one of us has a chance and a place to talk, and everyone else who listens. But as far as a decision to be made off of resources or time spent or focus or who gets more conversation, right? We could call that the least resource distribution is just time to talk. The person with the most needs should get that, right? You know? In a good world, we say, oh, you got cancer. Well, I was going to go do this and this and this, but maybe I should show you I care about you, and maybe I should try to get you some food because you can't get it yourself. Do you know what I mean? That's love. That's love.
Yeah.
People can talk all they want about this God or that God. They can talk all they want about every special event that they experience, like myself. But the truth is that just, giving up yourself or giving up something that you would like to do for yourself to someone else that needs it more than you, let's all face it. If we were to do that, wouldn't we just be happy little people? And if somebody doesn't understand why that wouldn't be the case, please do give me a call and we'll talk about it. But anyway, so does that answer? And therefore, the opposite side, darkness, is just sitting in that circle and saying, when everyone puts their dollar bill in the middle, right? Currency of communication, if you will. When everyone puts their dollar into the middle, I'm going to take all the dollars. We have that right to do that, right? No one's stopping us from doing that. If we all give in vulnerability, if we all present in vulnerability, any one of us could take, and it would be all right. And either we kick that individual out, which would be against our code of ethics, right? Wouldn't it be against our code of ethics if the rest of us were sitting around saying, we should each pay attention to each of us? In fact, one of the things I used to say to myself in situations, and I think we all have, is, maybe that individual needed it more than me. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But they still took. And therefore, it's an equal and opposite reaction, and one is being locked out of the Garden of Eden. So, does that answer that? I'm just talking.
Yeah, no. And I want to kind of go back to the parallel experiences because I remember when you had left the phone message, and I don't know if this is something that happened to you, and this is what brought on having this conversation around parallel universes when you said you were making some food, and something had happened.
Yeah. What happened there is I got high, and oh my God. What happens sometimes is I get high, and it's just, I'm high. Everything lines up. and I can see this is this, is that is this, and this is going to happen there. And I can feel things before they happen, but I'm high. So I can't delineate the truth. I can only remember feeling that way and coming to that conclusion and having the conclusion happen, but I'm high. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So while there was really interesting things, I predicted this really intricate thread of events and relationships and connections. And that's basically what happened. But that's not something usable. Do you know what I mean? Even if it's real, it's a good conversation point, but not for the kind of level that we're trying to demonstrate.
Okay, but I didn't realize that because I knew that there was two of those experiences that you said you wanted to relive those, go back.
Oh, but there's another one. Oh, yeah, I'll get back to the other one. Okay, so the one with the pork bun is the one where I think I did go into that world. I ate the pork bun. The only reason of my interest in that location that was not there, that bakery, was to eat, right? Mm-hmm. And I ate. And I might have ate food parallel universe. Interesting,
okay.
Right? What does that mean? What does that mean that I ate something that wasn't there or that was from a dimension that I wasn't to meld my direction towards? Because it could be that we do this all the time, but once you meld it, for instance, if I had passed that bakery and never went in and never noticed it was there, then I might have gone back to the dry cleaning. I would have noticed. But if I had gone into the bakery and then the bakery had never stopped happening, it was always there, I would have melded myself in that direction, right?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah. The worlds would have melded. Instead, what happened is I go into that world and then it goes away. I don't know how often this happens, but it's happened to me what appears to be a good amount of time. I just can't delineate how much of them are true and how much of them are fantasy, and there are some that are very clear.
But then you ask the question, do you believe there are parallel universes? Well, I mean...
Well, it's not a matter of whether I believe in parallel. It has nothing to do with believing in parallel universes. The question really is, do I believe, am I psychotic or not?
But maybe
the real question is, am I psychotic?
No, I don't think that's the question. I think the question is and maybe belief isn't the right word, but does parallel universes exist? I believe full-heartedly that they do. It's just that, like you said, we are so melding ourselves into this consciousness, this 3D, that unless we open up to the possibility of being able to tap into another dimension, another parallel universe, which is really right there, because we've raised our vibration somehow, something has happened. I don't understand it enough, but I mean, this is what my senses of it is. So I would say yes.
Well, yeah. No, I mean, what I'm saying, the question for me, and maybe we're talking about two different things. The question for me isn't whether they exist. The question for me is, am I psychotic? I don't think I'm psychotic.
No, that's what I'm saying. Not exactly.
No. Because I'm just being very honest. What is the possibility? No. What are the possibilities at hand? There's one. I'm either telling you the truth or I'm not. And I'll bet you anyone listening to me right now has a sense that I am not lying. Because you know what I mean? I don't think anybody's probably listening to my voice going, there's probably, hopefully, plenty of people listening out there, and I bet you some of them are confused. Is this guy telling the truth? He sounds like he's telling the truth. So the question to you, and I don't mean you, Linda, but the question to you too, but you and I know each other, so you have a better, thing. But we don't have any right to tell another person whether I'm psychotic or not. They can make that decision on their own. But the question to you, of the listener, is, am I psychotic or am I telling you the truth? Do I sound sophisticated in my thought, and do I feel unstable? Well, those are the relevant questions you should ask. And I think those are fair questions.
Can I ask you this question? Why would they even bother to ask that question? Why can't they?
Because what I'm saying, Linda, is why would they want to? Because I think it's normal to ask yourself that. That's all. I just think it's normal. You know what? I would never say to another person they're psychotic for saying something. like, you know, you gave me this personal. Yeah, I would never say that guy today was psychotic. I just think he's not discerning enough. Is the thought? I'm saying psychotic to myself. Maybe I'm psychotic because it's the possibility for me. And for me, I am as he would say, I am that's experiencing it. You know, he's talking about you're in this shot of reality, you're in that shot of reality. They're all the same thing. I'm not saying that. I'm saying I'm here, and then I'm there, and then the here disappears, and the there comes back. Quite a different statement. So for me, it's probably there's an element of trauma for it, you know, and to delineate reality, because reality has lost its hold in those moments. Reality isn't consistent. And when I talk about reality, that's why I mentioned truth. You know, truth is real. You know, truth will say what is real. I will try to impose upon truth what I would have truth believe. But truth don't buy that stupid shit. Truth says, oh, yeah, no, you're a real dummy if you think you're going to get something over my head. I'm going to flip you on your ass. You're not going to flip me on my ass, if you don't mind me swearing.
Yeah. Yeah, I bet it goes, well, if you're using the F word, so it doesn't matter. But I think it goes back to what we talked about earlier in the conversation about being special, right? So you're saying that you feel that maybe you could be psychotic because you had the experience of really eating something and very much tasting it, and then all of a sudden this place is gone, and how could it just disappear when there's just no way in that short period of time. Yeah. But then again, we know there is no such thing as time or space. Is it time and space?
Well, we don't necessarily know that until we experience it.
Well,
we're consistently experiencing something.
I know, that's true, but in the sense of, yes, that's true, but we can't, unless we really experience that, we don't really know. And I'm sure there's other people who have experienced that. That's why it would be great to have people call in and asking the question. But that's why I'm saying I think it's the same thing as we talked about being special, that if you look at that you had an experience that you tapped into another world universe being in this 3D. So that really wouldn't be psychotic. So I don't think the question is even...
That is not psychotic. I don't actually think it's psychotic. To some extent, I think... Okay, there's a few reasons why I call myself psychotic. So let me just put those out there, okay? I think this is the reason I call myself psychotic, okay? A, I'm defending myself against another conclusion, which is very disturbing to me, which is my that I am extremely gifted, you know? So that thought runs in my head, and I don't give it much playtime, and I don't know how much of it is real. And when I thought it since I was a young child, and these experiences say, well, you know, oh my God, you know, maybe this stuff is true. You know what I mean? So I could be psychotic. It's in defense, to some extent, it's in defense of that. I think it's also natural if you have that much break in reality, that's the case. But what was the third one? I don't remember. It doesn't matter. Let everyone else assume what they assume on me. It doesn't matter. I'm all right with it.
No, yeah, but I think
even if someone has some really grand experiences that they can perhaps see into things in ways that we commonly would say that they shouldn't, doesn't mean they themselves should become. I mean, that's what we want to do in society. We want to make everyone consistent, whole, and specific at all times. And in reality, we're much more complex than that. So I think when I'm saying psychotic, it's hard for me to delineate what happened. I know what happened. But when you experience something that was there and that wasn't there, you can't, and that's why I denied it. That's why I suppressed and oppressed the whole thing, because I couldn't make heads or tails out of it. It was there.
Right, but don't you think that there's some things that, I mean, when you're tapping in, when you're in the 3D dimension, when you're on this, and you're in
the other story too. But go ahead.
Yeah, but when you're in this 3D dimension, and then all of a sudden you tap into another world that can actually go, whoa, like what just happened? Like that was just really weird. I remember one, well, I don't know if I should tell the story, but it's a really short one. But anyway, I just think that, well, I was driving one day, and this was probably 4 years ago when I lived in this one apartment, and I was driving to this appointment, and it was weird because as I was driving, it was like I wasn't seen, Linda wasn't seen, but someone was seen through my eyes, because it was like the thought occurred to me, or whatever, the voice or something was like, wow, like I'm seeing things, like I'm really seeing things. And I thought it was like I was not seen, but this.
You had a knowledge that something was out of place in such a way as that you couldn't avoid that knowledge. Because
for me, it was just like, wow, that was really cool. And so I called my friend and I said, wow, I had just had the really weirdest experience. Like I wasn't looking through my eyes, but something else or one or whatever, it was as if something was looking through my eyes, because I was seeing things very differently. And it was just from that moment as I was...
But Linda, now look at yourself in the mirror and see that thing. And then you tell me if you don't question if you're psychotic.
I'm not psychotic.
You have
I already know that. I know that. I know for a fact that I'm not. I just think that...
What I'm saying is different. You're saying you had a sensation. That sensation moved into some place where it was supported by the visual world, the material world. I don't think it's all that strange to question the possibility of your sanity. I think not questioning the possibility of your sanity is a better example of that you might be insane. In fact, it's one of the definitions of insanity, is not recognizing that you're not sane. Do you know what I mean? I want to. Do you mind if I know we have 20 minutes. I want to get through to the second story because. Yes. So, is that all right if I just all of a sudden switch that?
Yes.
So, anyways, the first one is something that I took out of it. The second one, I didn't. I walked away from it, not knowing I was walking away from anything until a year and a half later. So, I'm going to say it really quickly. I'm pretty sure you've heard this one too. Stop me if you don't think it's being cohesive. I was, how do I say this so I don't reveal myself? Anyway, so for what I do for work, I locate people to work with. It's not too hard for me to do, but I have to actively use Craigslist to find them. And then I set up an office situation with them. So I was looking for a new office. I was very annoyed at the – no. I was looking for a new office. I was just starting what I was doing. I was just starting my business. And I came across this one office setting. And I walked in there, and I was trying to impress the person. So I look around. I'm like, oh, I can tell this person recently not remodeled, but kind of. He had taken off the boards, and it was clearly something that used to be like 70s decor, and now it's a little modern, but not to the point where they ripped out the walls, but they just try to do little things to make it look up to date. And so when he comes up to his front, once the staff tell me I'm there, I go, oh, hey, looks like, just to try to be a smart ass and how intelligent am I, try to make an impression on him. I was like, oh, looks like you recently changed things. They're like, oh, yeah, I did. And he was a young guy. And he said, he's like, oh, I just bought the place. I'm like, oh, okay, that's cool. And so I was like, well, do you got any, I introduced myself, and we talked, and he's like, yeah, I could have space for you. And so he showed me where my office would be, which was the negative part of that was it was outside of the main area where people would come, and the back room offices, it basically looked like a very large broom closet, but it had a separate door. I would have to, you have to walk into the main area where people would come, and then I would have to come out of the very large broom closet, come out of that door, walk down, 10 or 15 feet, not that much, go into that door and say, hi, are you here to see me, kind of thing. And so, he had a real cheap price, and I just basically I didn't feel comfortable with it. I didn't feel all that comfortable with it. It was like, I don't want to be in a broom closet. And so I started looking at Craigslist again, and lo and behold, I found another office that was literally like 3 offices down from that office. It was out in the open, a little mall area. So I go in there. It was something of more prestige and such. And so I was like, okay, this would be good, blah, 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 prestige, and as opposed to being in a very large broom closet with a very nice young guy. There might have even been 2 of them that have remodeled the place. That's very key. Keep in mind it was remodeled. Like they'd taken off wood. They put on wood panels and stripped other wood panels, things like that.
Right.
Anyway, so I take this other position, and a lot of what I do too is about generating business and leads, right? Because I'm in business for myself. That's what we all do. Anyone that's in business, I mean. So whenever I would, because we were in mutually similar businesses, right? It just happened to be that I found these 2 opportunities right next to each other. It's literally that when I would walk into my office, I would just always go by and look at that guy's office. I would see it every time. So whenever I would come through that door, I would think about that person and how do I make relationships with them. But there was somebody already in the place I was. I couldn't offer that person business to get the business without violating, respect of the people that I was already trying to form relationships with. So I never did. And I remember once I even said to the owner, I said something about this person, and I said it to him, saying details. And I remember him looking at me like he was confused, and I could see he wasn't able to listen to my details of who was in that office. He just kind of looked the other way and had this, I don't know what the hell you're talking about, look on his face. Mm-hmm. Anyways, I left that place and a position with somebody of serious clout that was also in the same community. And he turned out to be a living you-know-what. He was horrendous. He just really had some real nicety issues, Anyway, so I stayed with him for about 1.5 years, and maybe a year. I don't even remember now. And then I was like, all of a sudden that cheap place, the large broom closet, was starting to look good. I was like, these people I'm not going to build my business off these people. I keep running into people that are aggressive and seem to want to challenge me and things like that. Not challenge me, they're just kind of being abusive. So I was like, I need to get out of this place. He'd done something really, really obscene. And I had said to his wife, the kind of manager the place, he said I should do this with this person. And I was like, that's obscene, and I'm having real issues. And she was like, oh, no, that wasn't right, blah, 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 blah. Anyways, I decided I'm not staying in this. This guy's just totally over the top. I don't know what he's thinking or who he is, but I got to get out of here. It's just too stressful. So I started thinking about this little larger than a broom closet room. And I was like, okay, well, that's a good place to go. And I was like, so I went there. And I walk up to the place. It was like a brick wall, with the room. And where the broom closet wasn't there. It was just solid brick. And I was like, okay. At this point, I knew that this kind of stuff happened. And so I'm like, okay, the door to the large broom closet isn't there. It's just a brick wall. I think I put my hand on the brick wall, just kind of outlining where I think the door should have been. Because it's sort of like the door should be here somewhere. Literally, I think I was thinking to myself, is it 15 feet to the left? Because it wasn't far away from the other door. Is it 2 or 3 feet to the right? As if, I was basically getting a little illogical because it wasn't there. So I go into the office, to see if this guy still has it, and I walk into this place that's got the decor from like the 1970s. And I'm thinking, this place was not only not decor from the 1970s, but I could tell they had remodeled decor from the 1970s. And then the person comes out to greet me, and he's this older guy. He's not young, And I said, And at this point, I'm like, what the hell's going on? What happened to the little room in the brick wall, the little broom closet room? I'm like, this is 70s decor. The place I saw was remodeled. And so I got to say to him, did you, because these other young guys owned the place, so I had to say to him, do you have partners? So I said to him, do you have any young partners? And he kind of looked at me. He goes, no. And I go, how long have you been here? And he goes, like 30 years. And I go, okay. And I go, well, have you ever had any partners? He goes, no, I've never had any partners. And then I go, well, I'm looking for a place. And he's like, oh, well, I would be very interested. And I then went home very disturbed. Very, very disturbed. I don't know if I was hitting the steering wheel, but I was like, what's going on here? And maybe I didn't tell you about this. I needed to know, I needed to ask him. I needed to actually tell him. So I went back to this guy the next day, and I said, hey, do you mind if I can talk to you for a second? I need to ask you some questions. He's like, sure. Real nice guy. And I said, you're going to think I'm crazy. No? I'm going to say something that's going to make you think I'm schizophrenic. But I've been here before, and this is what happened. Talking about this larger than a broom closet room and stuff, and these young guys, and that the decor had changed. And he just looked at me with such concern and such love, which was really nice. He really cared.
Sure.
Because he was talking to an insane person. Now, I'm not insane. I'm pretty sure it happened. Or maybe I am insane. I think I'm insane. But so the point of that is that didn't exist either. But the difference in my comment is, what would have happened if I had taken that job?
Right.
Where would have if I had stayed there, which I wish I had? Because maybe it was some gift. Maybe it was the universe saying, come here, and I will order your universe the way you want it. And I started to think about it as that's the way God works. If you pay attention to God, God will open up a realm of a direction that the force wants you to go. Because it's happened to me. And it is totally my speculation in the way I think about it. And that's why when we started the program, I said maybe this goes on with other things because I can see it in many ways. If the universe is going to shape you and bring things in front of you, it opens up doors and pushes you through.
Right,
you know what I mean? So
what I want to say, yes, but what I want to say, so the question could be, in that moment that you saw the broom room, now our egos can get in the way and go, well, I'm not taking that broom room. I need, I should have a bigger room, or, I at least should have a room, not a broom room, right? So it's going to prevent you from an opportunity that you could have taken because of selfishness or whatever you want, ego, because you felt you wanted something, right? Or it was not meant for you to have this experience, to look back and realize that it is possible to be in these parallel universes. I don't know. That's what I'm just saying.
That's actually a very good point. Because what would be more valuable for me to take that, or for me to be able to know that it happened and that it's not natural? Now, maybe it is natural. That's what we're saying. It is natural. I think it is natural.
It is natural.
The question for me still is, am I psychotic or am I not psychotic? I don't think I'm psychotic, therefore I think that happened. And the reason I say that is because I've tried to deny this. I've tried to oppress this. I've tried to suppress it. It doesn't bode well for my ability to relate to people because I'm extremely sensitive. And what I noticed in some points in my life is when I try to stop that, I become very scared of everyone. And that when I just say, hey, listen, you are what you are. You might have some knowledge that's not normal. You might want to talk about things on a higher level. You might be able to stimulate that conversation in some people. And you know what? You need that to know that you're comfortable in the world because that's who you are.
Okay, well, I'm going to interject. Because if you look at Einstein and you look at Edgar Cayce and all these people who had all this, you could say the same thing about them. I mean, look at the stuff that they invented and talked about and knew all the stuff that we're like going, oh my gosh, this stuff is really real. Well, no kidding. You know, because no one believed it along the way or, you know, poo-pooed it or whatever, right? So,
yeah.
So no, I don't think that, I think that to say that this is very valid, that it is very valid, and it is there for us if, and it goes back to what you said, and I think what we've been really saying, what you've been really saying, and really what we're both saying and through this whole thing, is you have to be open to the possibility. If you're minded, there's not even opportunity to see even a shadow of anything. So
and you have to be strong too. You have to be strong because you're asking to go against the stream. You're asking to be. I can't shoot. I mean, this is a lot of the reason why I don't want anyone to know.
Well, I think there has to be an awareness, and I think the more that you and anyone that opens up to this and realizes that there is potential here, that we've always had the opportunity to step into other universes. It's just that we have forgotten. We have had limitations of our own selves. We've gotten in our own way and other things that have limited us from being able to tap into other parallel universes. Because I know people I know a girl who does this all the time. And so, very fascinating.
Yeah, and here's another thing. And this is one of the things I really want to drive home to people. And then I got, when I realized even a bigger, betterness about it. I'm also telling this story so that people know, you know, either they, and I know you don't like when I say this, and I understand why you don't like why I say this, because I question because it's not fully enhancing, but, you know, there's issues there that aren't completely resolved. We both know that. So, I also want people to know that, listen, you know, if you either think that I'm insane or you think that I'm telling you the truth, and if I'm telling you the truth about what I'm saying, that means this isn't only something for me. This is something for everyone. And here's the really cool thing about it. It suggests, you know, this present day idea that I need the resources, I need the food, I need the disease-free life, right? Things that can be very against your capacity to make happen. Some people just don't get them. What I'm saying here is from my experience. I don't know this for sure, but this is one of my conclusions, and this actually maybe goes back to you saying maybe I didn't take that walk into that other world because now I can communicate that it happened. And I'll tell you, I wouldn't have been able to communicate if it hadn't closed and become something else twice with lots of other stuff. I mean, I could tell all the stories. I wouldn't know. That's why when people talk about parallel universes and they know, no, you don't. Once you're there, you're there. That's it. It's just a different place, and how would you know? You wouldn't know. But here's the thing. If you lived your life focused on this idea, once again, like you said in the beginning, it's not a religious thing. Mm-hmm. You know, like the Bible, and I mention the Bible because that's what I'm familiar with. It's not, but, you know, the Bible talks about, like, please, if there are Christians out there, please don't get out of hand and start telling everyone that, you know. Anyways, you know, the Bible talks about stories, and I'm sure all the other books do too, about that, you know, you can make things happen. With God on your side, you can make things happen. And that's what potentially this is. If you focus and you create an aspect of your life and really focusing and creating, all I mean is just sitting down with your fellow man and woman and saying, who are you? Let me talk to you through you. Let me not talk to you through myself. Let me not tell you who you are. Let me not tell you what you are. Let me not just easily say that you're at fault for this and you're at fault for that. But you actually listen to that person and you feel that person. You give them a chance to have everything that you want for you. I don't think it's anything more than that. If you do those things, electromagnetism, connection with the universe, go listen back to when I was talking about the electromagnetic principle and all that. The world is a magnetic wave, right? And as you go out and look for it, which is what you do when you interact with a person for them, you're looking for them. And when you're looking for them, you are looking for their essence. And their essence is that electromagnetic principle. And in so doing, you will open up these kind of possibilities that very well will take you to a higher place. And higher place in the sense of take care of you. Take care of what you need. I really do believe that. And that's a beautiful thing. The potential that you don't need to worry if you have enough food.
Yeah, I love that.
You don't need to worry if you're going to die, because you are. You know, there's these things. And maybe by following some of these principles, you will be taken care of, and in ways such that you can stop worrying about all the possibilities of what you need to worry about, which are very quote-unquote real. Because maybe what I'm saying is there's another reality leading you there.
Yes. Thank you so much for being on the show today. It was very interesting. I love the conversation around parallel universes. It's a very cool topic and just very interesting topic. So thank you so much for being there today to share all this and your experiences with us today. Thank you for all the listeners out there who joined us today and the ones who could join us via YouTube. We thank you so much. Please follow, subscribe, comment, and like us. And join me this week, the 17th, for the next show, Spiritual, Vibrational, Healing, Music, and Entertainment to a Whole New Level with Raven Oley. So thank you so much. We appreciate it. We'll see you next Monday. Look for the topic of what's going to be for our next show next week. So with our unidentified guest.
Yeah, can I throw in one thing?
Yes.
Just really quickly, if you guys are enjoying this, please, like this situation on your Facebook. I'd really like to get a group of people together, because in futures, things I'll talk about, I can't even say it that quickly, but literally bring some people in would be a good idea. We can magnify the text. Good ideas on how to do it. That's it.
Good. Well, we'll see then. We'll talk about that. Maybe we can just, get a group of people together and have a conversation. All right, awesome. Thanks so much, everybody. See you next week.
Bye.
Bye.